Everybody knows Louis Vuitton as one of the most prestigious and expensive brands in the world. But nothing builds up overnight. It takes a lot of effort, blood, and sweat to build a successful business. Louis was just a homeless guy that had nothing to eat and did not have a job. But his early life struggles and some valuable skills helped him successfully build a giant empire. Now, Louis Vuitton is valued at more than $303.84 billion. Early life of Louis Vuitton. The story starts in the 19th century with the birth of Louis Vuitton in Angers, a small city in France. Just like the other people, he unwillingly chose to be a farmer and hat maker. It was the time when the country was trying to recuperate from the Napoleonic Wars. It takes a lot of time for the country and its people to get back to normal life after a major disaster. The time was really tough for many farmers, including Louis, because they were facing a financial crisis. The financial crisis left him no choice for Louis, but to work as a farmer, because it was extremely difficult to move on to any other business. So, he worked really hard and spent the major portion of the day in planting and harvesting crops, feeding the animals, and amassing wood. We always think that things get better after hardships, but unfortunately, not in the early life of Louis. He lost his mother at the age of 10, and his father started a new life by marrying another woman. Instead of giving love and care to Louis, his stepmother tried everything to make his life wretched. Surely, no one has the capacity to bear all that. Therefore, Louis decided to run away from the farmhouse when he was just 13 years old. He tried to start a new life by leading to the city of Paris. The teenager had empty pockets and nothing to eat. But luckily, some artisans and craftsmen gave him a temporary job. During that time, the first railway line was introduced in Paris, which made travel easy and accessible for almost everybody. The railway line also opened the doors for opportunity for many craftsmen. So they scaled their businesses by making custom boxes for piers. These piers used to travel with canvases, tools, and furniture. So they needed a strong and powerful box that could fit all these things without getting cracked during the long trip. Moreover, they also needed some guys to package these belongings in a particular way to avoid breakage. After understanding the needs of that time, Louis learned these skills, and then he tried to find a job in the trade. Maybe that was the luck of Louis that one of his craftsmen, named Monsieur Maréchal, gave him a chance to showcase his skills, so he hired him as a trainee. Louis' passion and hard work helped him to become a dominant person, and he also became one of the favorites among Maréchal's clients. Soon after, the Queen of France gave him a chance to make her personal boxes. People were so curious about the boxes that the Queen was using. As a result, Louis became a famous person. When people started knowing Louis as the box maker of the Queen, he thought it was the right time to open a shop. But he did not use the old ideas of making these trunks or boxes. Instead, he introduced his own ideas that changed the whole industry. During that time, other people were making boxes using leather, and moreover, they had rectangular shapes. The rectangle shape was itself a major problem for the traditional boxes, because this shape allowed the water to stay on top instead of drenching through the leather. Due to this problem, it was almost impossible to put his belongings in the trunks. Louis tested various materials to solve this problem. After spending much time on the experiments, Louis found that the decorated rounded tops would assist the overflow of water, and the great thing about the trunks was that they could handle a load more. He created the flat-top trunks with trees and canvas. This technique made the trunks considerably lightweight and airtight. Not just it, but the waterproofing material made the color gray, so the trunks looked clean and a new style. By using canvas material, Louis introduced a slat trunk. Imagine how a simple idea turned out to be a giant revolution in the fashion industry. The introduction of Louis Vuitton handbags. When the customers were aware of the benefits of using these trunks, they immediately became the must-have accessory. Louis applied the same idea to the new invention, which was handbags. However, during that time, people had general thoughts in their mind that handbags could cause injuries to women due to their heft weight. Therefore, they should not carry them at all. Louis had the idea in mind that if he can make lightweight trunks, then there was also a possibility of making lightweight handbags by using canvas. After using the same technique, Louis introduced lightweight and elegant handbags with different styles. Various styles of handbags attracted many women. They could pair those bags with their dresses. It was the time when the demand for using bags and trunks was at its peak level, so it became very difficult to complete all the orders for a single person. So George, the son of Louis, gave a helping hand to the father. After all, the sons had the same blood, so George also did not stick to the same idea. Instead, he introduced new ideas that transformed the standards of the fashion industry. George introduced the tumbler lock that could protect the trunks from theft. This new innovation made their products more popular in the market because they did not just present the new style, but also gave many benefits to their products. Eruption of Franco-Prussian War. Family products became the most popular in society, but unfortunately, another war almost destroyed the business. It was the second time Louis had to deprive of his home. Imagine, it was the peak time of the business, but the Franco-Prussian War just ruined the entire business. Louis had to protect his family's life, so they had no choice but to leave their home and workshop in Asnieres and shift to another city. They found refugees camp to survive, but unfortunately, the food was not enough for thousands of refugees. Louis had to spend days without eating food, but somehow he survived. When the war ended, he returned home with his family, but he found that all his material was stolen and his shop was completely destroyed. But Louis did not give up. Instead, Louis found a new location to rebuild his shop by using some leftovers. The prices of the property also dropped due to the eruption of the war, and Louis also got the benefit of the plunge and bought a shop in a chic district. The rise of Louis. Soon after the shop was reopened, the business started flourishing again, and they got orders from different parts of the world. During that time, technology was getting advanced and the customer patterns on the fabric were newly introduced. Since the canvas is a fabric, so Louis followed the customer's patterns, and this technique worked really well. It gave people a chance to look different from other people, and that made it difficult for the competitors to copy Louis' product style. He also got orders from other parts of Europe, so he decided to open a new shop in London, and this expansion of the business also attracted many customers, including many royal families. When the elite class started using its products of Louis, the brand became more popular. Things did not end there. Louis also decided to introduce the first catalog to make ordering convenient for people. This move was so helpful for the growth of the business. Unfortunately, tragic news came out that Louis had passed away at the age of 72. People are still unaware of the actual cause of his death. Now, all the responsibilities of running the business were on his son, George, and George handled that well. He went to the US to attend the World Fair. When he attended the seminar, he realized that he needed a worldwide sales network. So he met with John Wanamaker, who was a professional in his field. After joining hands with John, he introduced the products of LV in a New York department store. George was passionate about keeping his father's name alive, so he decided to create the monogram in memory of his father. Now, George and his son Gaston were determined to ignite the sales of the business. George built the network all over the US, but after some time, George passed away, and this gave all the responsibilities of the business to Gaston. The start was pretty awful for Gaston, because World War II erupted and disrupted the entire business activity. Gaston even had to collaborate with the ruling party for Germany in order to survive, so he built a shop in Vicky. Many other famous shops were shut down in the country, but only LV was allowed to carry on its business. When the war ended and things started getting back to normal, Gaston, along with his three sons, Henry, Jacques, and Claude, decided to rebuild the company. When Gaston passed away, these three brothers joined hands with their sister's husband. They made a major decision to transform from wholesale to retail so that they could tap into the Asian markets. Just in 6 years, the sales of LV skyrocketed to $260 million from $20 million. Henry also took LV to the public and sold more than 1 million shares to people. After a couple of months, the share price of LV fluctuated, and experts warned that it could go down even further. This prediction could not stop Henry from opening new stores all over the world, and within the next few years, the business touched a net worth of $1 billion. The efforts, Henry proved all analysts wrong. LV also merged with Moët Hennessy, a champagne brand. Their major plan was to make it difficult for outsiders to dominate the market. Soon after, Henry disputed with Moët Hennessy's president and joined hands with Bernard Arnault. But this partnership also did not go well when Henry knew that Bernard had his own dreams and goals. Bernard was a smart guy, so he silently bought the controlling interest in LVMH and gained the support of the Moët and Hennessy families. Soon after, a legal dispute disrupted between Bernard and Henry, but Henry lost the case and he had to step down from his position. The sales of the business also went down, but again, the business started following the footsteps of Louis under the leadership of Yves Carcel. He invited many designers from all over the world and introduced new design bags with LV monograms on its 100th anniversary. At this time, handbags were a new thing in the world of luxury. LV then hired a new designer named Marc Jacobs, who transformed the brand by introducing the famous Venice collection. Moreover, he also collaborated with other big artists like Steven Sprouse and Takashi Murakami. These efforts paid off. LV has expanded into watches, jewelry, and sunglasses, and is now consistently introducing new designs of bags. LV has also set its own standards now. Craftsmen have to take at least 2 years of training, and some of the products of the brands require almost 300 stages to assemble. Now, LV is a multi-billion-dollar brand and the most luxurious in the world, and people wish to buy their products.